Hello, Trevor Cutmore. So today's video is a top 3 tips on investing in property. My wife always tells me I should not be playing golf in the house, and that is true. But it's about getting it right. So, practicing indoors, not really the best thing to do, but this is a top 1, 2, 3 tips for investing in property. Number 1, location, location, location. You're never gonna avoid that, okay? There's been a lot of talk about Blackpool. I did a video on it last week, I think, about Blackpool. It's one of the cheapest areas in the country, probably outside of Grimsby. And is it the right place to go? Now, back in 2018, in a 3-month period, it went up 17% in 3 months. And so that got the attention of a lot of people. But if you haven't invested in property, stop looking at these great numbers of return on investment. It all sounds good, but location, 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 you will never get away from it. And it's singly the most important thing. You got to look long term. Now, I can find you right now property online, and I could go to some of the cheapest areas and I can say, look, buy this, 24% return on your money. Yes, you're going to say, but Trevor, why wouldn't I do that? Good question. You wouldn't do it because of what you're going to get. First of all, you're going to get zero capital growth. You might say that's okay. Secondly, you're working in deprived areas, and you're on a, let's see, a high percentage of getting bad tenants who are not going to pay you. They're going to be in an area where you can have really bad neighbours. And if you've rented for a long time, if you've had properties for a long time, you'll understand that you can have bad neighbours. I actually sold one of the few houses that I sold about 2 years ago because of neighbours, and that was a housing association took over a house and they started to put in very young people who are problem people, and my tenants had problem with those neighbours. As they were coming home from work, the neighbours, these young people were sitting out and calling them all sorts of names. And eventually someone actually put a lit cigarette through the letterbox, and that was the final straw. We had police out, we appealed and everything. Now, neighbours, it can happen anywhere, I get that. But you're more likely to have it in deprived areas. So for me, I'm not touching Blackpool, I'm not touching Grimsby. That's up to you. But if you're new in property, the number 1 tip is location. You'll never get away from it. You do have to ask yourself 2 questions. Which one? Do you want capital growth? Do you want cash flow? If you want cash flow, then okay. If you want to go to the where you get great cash flow and you don't want capital growth, because let's face it, Blackpool and Grimsby right now are one of the 2 lowest growing places you're going to find. Grimsby, you're talking about 0.1% growth, and we're coming to a precipice where values are going to drop sharply. Okay, so one of the organisation which I do respect their opinions, they're saying that nationally, we're looking at a 14% drop in house prices over the next 12 months. Where will that happen? Well, deprived areas, that's going to hit hard straight away. Now, 14% off a £40,000 property is not a lot of money. Actually, it's 4,200, I think, something like that. Anyway, you'll have to work that one out. The thing is, location, you will never get away, and I like to have a mixture of both. I like capital growth and I like cash flow. Hence, that's why I came to a place in Lincoln where I can see both. Now, if you're in London, London is where you're going to get capital growth, but again, we're coming to this downturn. So wait and look for the right place, but there's always property to be had, and we're coming to a place now where we're going to get a lot of stock coming onto the market within the next 3 months. Over these next 3-4 months, there's going to be an awash coming, and wait for it. The second tip, which people do get wrong, is finance. Oh my goodness, if I had Martin Smedley, my broker, on here, he would be rolling his eyes, because I asked him the other day, what's the number 1 thing that people get wrong? Okay, and a lot of that is that they're not positioning themselves, where they haven't got enough deposit, haven't got any money. But I said, what's the completion rate? And he said, Trevor, it's never changed in 30 years. Out of 100 people who make applications, 60% will start to go through the process. They won't all get mortgages, but think about that. 40% of people who go forward to buy, it falls out of bed for one reason and another. And if you look at estate agents and their numbers, and you look at, when you see, this is an important tip for another tip for you really, when you're searching properties, click the button sold subject to contract. Why? Because 40% of properties that go through which are said to be sold fail to sell, so they're coming back on the market. So you want to be looking. I actually spoke to an agent recently where the property was on the market, and I said, well, please keep my name and address. If anything happens, come back to me. They emailed me on Friday and said, Trevor, that has failed. It's available to you if you're interested. So I've got to call them and make an appointment to go and see it. So that is number 2. Make sure that your finances are in place and ready. Make sure you've got the cash. Make sure you've got proof of where that has come from. Okay, not just if it's a loan from your parents or family or friends. Make sure you've got the documentation so you can show and how you're paying that back. Be transparent about it and be ready. Get all your ducks in a row with finances. And if you're not sure, speak to your broker. Martin Smedley, brilliant, at Prospero Finance. Number 3. Okay, what's the third tip for investors on to invest in UK property? Is get your builders sorted and get the right builders. This is a hard one, I can tell you now. Why? Because there are horror stories galore about builders. You know, are they cowboys? Are they great? Do you look at certain websites where Trustpilot or Trust a Trader, these things, they can be manipulated. Look, one of my mentees, I can tell you, he put in a heating system. They said it would take a week. So you take less than that, but a week to put a heating system in. 8 weeks later, it's still not finished and commissioned, and the guy has walked out and said no because of pressure. Now that should never have happened. That should have been strict, a week, and make sure if it's not a week, get someone in. But this is a common thing that builders come, and when you use local builders, guess what? Let's take an electrician. Electrician will come in to do a job of where you're rewiring a house, and that would take a good couple of days. But let's suppose they come in for the first couple of hours, they have to do what's called a first fix, then they go away while other people do their bits of stuff, then they've got to come back, do a second fix, and maybe they have to come back again, but they're going to be in and out. But if they don't come back, or they haven't got the time, and this is the common thing, what happens, they come in, they've got to be there, let's say for 3 hours work. After an hour, they get a call from Mrs. Smith down the road, who says, oh, my washing machine, the light's not coming on. So they think, hey, that's an easy 120 quid. I can go down, it'd be a fuse or something, and I'm not, this is the way it is because they know where the problem is. They go down, they can make 120 quid rather than make £150 a day, whatever they're charging. So that's why they run off. So you have to understand that, but you need to be disciplined and get the right builders and keep them on site and keep them on time. So make sure you have that plan, that you checked who your builders are, their great reputation, you know what works they're doing, and keep a tight check. And golden rule with builders, on WhatsApp, make sure you instruct exactly, you know exactly what they're doing, they've confirmed what they're doing and the time, and you've got a record, because if it goes to court, you need to have record. It can't be hearsay. Okay, so there's your top 3 tips. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the golf. Have a great week and God bless you. Please subscribe, comment and share. Bye bye. No, I'm nearly there. I'm nearly there now. Oh. Oh.